Next man up, 1025, the game, Jake Lyman, joined by Turron Davenport for a TD Thursday. Parker Kelly behind the glass. Hope you're having a great start to your day. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. TD, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going? Great to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you in. We'll have TD for the full show. Andrew Allegretti going to join us to preview Vanderbilt and Alabama at 11. And as always, your chance to talk to TD coming up at 10. So get your questions in for Turron. You can do that on our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You can text or call 615-737-1025. Before we get into the Titans, do want to congratulate Nashville SC as they won the U.S. Open Cup final yesterday, bringing a trophy back to Nashville. Don't need to make a bigger deal out of it than it is. Some people saying it's the first major trophy in Tennessee pro sports history. I would compare it probably to a conference championship kind of thing that both the Predators and the Titans have gotten, but still very impressive 2-1 win over Austin. So wanted to congratulate them. TD, it's a stressful day for me. Tigers playing in a game 3 this afternoon. Yesterday may have been one of the worst baseball games I've ever had to watch in my life. Tigers left 15 men on base and then gave up 5 runs in the 8th inning to lose to the Guardians. So we'll see how today goes.
That was a bad game for sure, but at least they're in the playoffs. So
that is true. I know it's a sore subject, so we won't talk much baseball today. But I'm getting ready for the winner take all. We got Jack Flaherty on the mound, which is always hit or miss. But let's get into the Titans. Not very good game on Sunday to watch as well. 26-0 was the final. Titans fall to 0-4. And, they get blown out by a division rival, now heading on the road for the second out of 3 straight weeks to take on Arizona. TD, just initial thoughts on that game that really should have been 6-6 heading into the fourth quarter, and then the floodgates kind of opened up and the game got away from the Titans late.
It's really interesting how a play or two could really be so much of a turning point in the game. And I think when you look at that game that the Titans just played, that second and 33, you got the cover 4 in place. Outside leverage is supposed to be what L'Jarius Sneed's playing with, and he's not. And Nico Collins is able to get outside. The safety, Quandre Diggs, came off the hash, and you got a 37-yard play on second and 33, and 7 plays later they scored their first touchdown of the game. And that tells you how things have gone for this team, right? 20 points allowed in the fourth quarter, because that was the first of 3 touchdowns they scored. And while they are so far from being successful, it's crazy how close they are too.
Right.
Because you go back and you look at every game except for the Colts game, and it's like they could have won that game.
Yeah, it was a 1-score game heading into the fourth quarter, or you were leading heading. In
Denver, they were leading.
Right. So it's just gotten away from them late. They haven't found a way to finish games. And you mentioned the second and 33. I think that is the moment that the game changed. I mean, you had them backed up. You can get off the field. The offense hadn't done much, but you keep getting the ball in their hands, and maybe you can finally break the big play. And L'Jarius Sneed pressing on second and 33 lets Nico Collins get over the top. And, L'Jarius Sneed, we talked about how he had a good game against the Rams, but he has to be consistent. I don't want to completely condemn L'Jarius Sneed because he had a bad game on Sunday, but it was probably his worst game since he's joined the Titans. It wasn't just that play. Did you watch back the broadcast, the CBS broadcast?
I didn't watch the broadcast. I watched the other copy.
So Ross Tucker on it was Nico Collins was coming across the field on a crosser and just wide open, nobody around him. And Ross Tucker goes, well, L'Jarius Sneed's playing zone there. It looks like the rest of the team's playing man. And I'm like, all right, well, that's good. And then he had the hold on Collins on the Cody Barton sack. It's like, it wasn't just the one play. It was a bad day for L'Jarius Sneed. He's got to find a way to bounce back this week.
Yeah, he absolutely has to find a way. And, I mean, look, you got Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Wilson, the receiver on the other side, isn't bad. And don't forget about Greg Dortch. So they have weapons, obviously Trey McBride. But I think this is a good opportunity for Snead to have a bounce back game. He needs to get his hand on the football. An interception would help a lot, or even just just play a clean game
Right.
and not do your own thing like he did on that play you mentioned, and also on the second and 33.
Right. Denard Wilson talked about it this week that they were trying to put just an umbrella over the top, make sure no one got past the sticks. And L'Jarius Sneed decided to press. Nico Collins runs right by him, and CJ Stroud hit him for a 37-yard gain.
Mm-hmm.
For Cam Ward on Sunday, also would say that was his worst game as a Titan so far. He got off to a strong start, hit Calvin Ridley for an out for a first down, and then evading Will Anderson, hit Alec Manor down the field. But pretty much from that point on, it just was not good for Cam Ward. Missing some throws, didn't look like he ever really got into a rhythm. And then after the game, obviously the soundbite that's going around, we are not going to challenge Robbie and Rexroad for their Guinness World Record of most times saying ass during a 3-hour radio show. But that is the soundbite that has been circulated around the national media this week.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, he's right based on the way they played on Sunday and the way he played on Sunday. 10 for 26 for just over 100 yards.
Yeah, and if you look at some of the numbers, man, it's bad. I mean, the completion percentage right around 51%. I mean, you just mentioned the 10 for 26.
5 yards per attempt on the season.
It's bad. And just to give you a couple other numbers, when you look at this from a historical context, I mean, look, like it's to the level where it's like Jake Locker type stuff, right? And just to give you an idea, right? Look, here are a couple notes, okay? So you look at the 51% completion percentage. That's the fourth lowest by a Titans rookie in the first 4 games of their career since the merger. It's the lowest since Jake Locker, who I mentioned, right? So you got Vince Young, who has the lowest, 45.9%.
Wow.
He has 74 attempts. Jake Locker in 2011, 46%, 50 attempts. Brett Pease, who I do not know of, 1987, 49.5%. He had 101 attempts. Cam Ward this year, 51.2 on 125%
Wow.
attempts. So it just lets you know that some of the things, and then, I mean, for those who use the QBR side of things, and this is all in the story I have posting tomorrow, those who use the QBR since 2006, when QBR was first established, 31 rookies started week 1 through 4. Ward's 23 total QBR through 4 starts is the second worst.
Oof.
It's just ahead of Deshaun Kaiser, who had an 18 in 2017 with those Browns.
Yeah, who led that team to an 0-17 or 0-16 season. No one's gone 0-17 yet.
There's three possibilities.
Yes, Saints, Titans, and Jets. We were having a conversation about this on Tuesday, TD, of which one of those teams is the worst. And it's so funny how Titans fans, how down they are on this team, because all of them were, our team's the worst. There's no chance those teams are worse than us. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the state of the team right now. Those are some eye-opening numbers. Mm-hmm. First of all, that Vince Young, below 50% through his first 4 games. If you're looking for a bright spot, he did win Rookie of the Year that year. It's possible to turn it around. And I think that's an important point to be made, is that the slow start from Cam Ward does not mean that he's not going to be a good quarterback. Like, he is going to improve. He's going to progress, and these things are going to get better. But he has to start showing that progress, because so far it kind of seems like every game has gotten a little bit worse. Yeah. I think the Denver game probably was his best game. The Colts game, I think overall was fine, but he had that catastrophic pick 6 to start off on the first drive of the game. So you need to see some progress. You need to see some growth. And Cam Ward, clearly frustrated with the way things have gone so far. This is a guy who's not used to losing, and he's 0-4. This is a chance this week to make a statement and be a little bit more efficient with the way he plays.
Yeah.
I know that he says he doesn't care about the completion percentage, but at some point you got to complete your passes. Like, you can't be hovering around 50%. You have to get that into the 60s, 65. And I know Brian Callahan last year with Will Levis said he wanted to get his completion percentage up to 70%. So I think Cam Ward yes, you can say you don't care about it. You're going to go out and play. But at some point, those stats have to start improving if you're going to win some football games.
Yeah, I mean, those are the stats that lead to winning. So definitely need to get that on track. And I think it's just a matter of finding the easy throws, finding the rhythm. I mean, we talked about the RPOs in Brian Callahan's press conference, talked about that with Cam a little bit, and he went into some of the things that make him so comfortable and successful with that. So why not dial that up? You need with this offensive line to make quick decisions anyway. Force him into quick decisions. Roll him out, move the pocket. He's better on the move. He stated that. So it's not a matter of simplifying things as it is just speeding the process up. Because when you move the pocket, you cut the field in a half or in a quarter. You flood it and you got your high-low read, and it's like, okay, he goes this way, you go there. He goes that way, you go there. And those simple things that Callahan and the crew, they need to incorporate more just to make this job more digestible for them.
Right.
More conducive to success.
Yes. Cam Ward has to be better at taking the layups when they're there, but they also have to scheme up some easy stuff for Cam Ward. I think, especially early in the game, just to get into a rhythm, because
Mhm.
I feel like he's struggled a little bit early. I wonder what that game looks like if they call the roughing the passer on Azeez Al-Shire, because like obviously the game played out the way it did, but that's a big play that could extend a drive, would have put you in the red zone and give you a chance to go get an early touchdown. I wonder how the game plays out if they do call that, because after that, Cam Ward was just not, it did not look good for him.
Yeah, it didn't look good. And I mean, like that right there is one where you connect on that. Well, not connect, but you get that call, you get
Right.
a 15, that extends the drive. And who knows? This team, see, this is one of those teams where if I'm playing the Titans, I do everything I can to whoop their butt on the first couple series
Yep.
because they'll check out.
Yeah.
But conversely, if I'm the Titans, I do everything I can to score on that first drive or to get a defensive 3 and out on that
Right.
first drive because that's going to get us going.
Gets
Like
everybody
that's what I'm.
engaged.
Yeah, it gets and just that little and Peter Skoronski said it yesterday. Now I asked him about just a win period, but he talked about getting that feeling and how reminding yourself what that feels like can be a momentum builder. Well, at this point, this team, a win for them is a successful series, a successful drive.
Right.
So get that win and realize how that feels and build upon that and use that as momentum.
That leads me right into where I wanted to go in the next segment. It's been a long time since this team has won a game. Feels like they need one ASAP to try and get the vibes back up in this locker room and keep this locker room from checking out. As again, we're only in early October, but it feels like this season is in danger of spiraling out of control if it hasn't already. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll get to your phones as well. We are off and running on this Thursday. ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Turron Davenport with us for the full show. Again, your chance to talk to TD coming up at 10, so get your questions in for Turron. And Andrew Allegretto will join us at 11 to preview Vanderbilt and Alabama down in Tuscaloosa this weekend. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Wondering where to go to watch NFL games this Sunday? Come to Twin Peaks in Madison, home of the 29-degree beer, and join 102.5 The Game for the pregame show before the Titans take on the Cardinals. Pregame show is brought to you by Old National Bank and Circa Sportsbook Kentucky. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up 102.5 The Game. Let's go to our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Trey has called in to give his takes on the Titans. Trey, thanks for calling. What you got for us this morning?
Hey, Jake. Hey, you said that, didn't you say that the playbook needs to be simpler for Cam Ward? It can't get any more simpler than what it's been. If they're doing swing passes, dump passes, trying to get the ball down the field, and you still can't get the ball down the field, if a team can score 10 points a half to beat you, something's wrong.
Trey, the point
it doesn't take a team but 10 points per half to beat the Titans. That's not good enough, and it starts with Cam Ward.
No,
these are basic, huh?
It's a fair point that they haven't been good enough on offense. The point we're trying to make is you got to give some easy throws for Cam Ward. Like, yes, how much more easier do they have to be? He's doing swing passes and hook passes, and he's still not completing it and reading defenses, Jake. I mean, he's missed some throws, but for the most part, it does feel like there hasn't been enough layups for him, especially early in games, to get himself into a rhythm.
You're right, and they need to work on that. And he needs to work on reading defenses and checking down blitzes as well, don't you think?
Well, can we not say that collectively? Like, I wouldn't put it just on Cam Ward. Can we not say that collectively this is a failure?
We can say that. It hasn't been a failure. Like you say, he's still growing. And I want to see him do well, but it needs to start right now.
Trey, let me ask you, what kind of work do you do?
I'm retired. I used to be overnight express delivery. I've been in every state, 50 states. I retired at 50.
Hey, well, congratulations on retirement. Let me ask you this. So you were an overnight delivery driver, right? So let's say you had a particular truck that was the best
van. Cargo van.
Let's say you had a particular cargo van that was the best one for you. Every time you drove that one, you got to your deliveries done early, not on time, early. And let's say me as the orchestrator of all this, I say, you know what? I know Trey drives the Mercedes Sprinter the best, but I'm not going to give him that. We're going to put him in this Dodge, whatever. Would that be the most, like, putting you in the best position to get your deliveries done, right?
No.
Right. And so the same thing could be said for this Titans team. Cam Ward at Miami, at Washington State, he even said it yesterday. RPOs are one of the best things, like one of the better concepts for him. Now, obviously, it's not going to work on all defenses, but not giving him a healthy dose of that is the same as not giving you the best van to get your deliveries done. And I think that's the problem.
I understand. And y'all have a good day. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Trey.
Have a blessed day. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Trey. You too. Man, I wouldn't have guessed that Trey is over 50. Wow.
Yeah.
That was not my guess. I mean, I guess this is what you get for only being able to hear voices. Let's go back to our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Teddy is on the line, wanting to talk about Cam Ward. Teddy, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. What's going on?
What's up?
Nothing much, man. Just been watching over these last 4 weeks, man. And, yeah, things are getting tough, but it goes back to what you guys are saying, making things easier for the quarterback. Like when we played 2 weeks ago, if you guys realize the coach was beating us with the same play with Jonathan Taylor slipping out the backfield and dumping the ball off to him and making things happen. So the big thing that you guys are saying is making things very simple for him and him getting into a groove. And we've not necessarily done that. He's been taking a lot of sacks. We all know the O-line problem. We know what's going on. generally, I don't think we have enough talent as of right now.
Mm-hmm.
But can we build something? Yes, we can build something. We can. The O line. I feel like last game the O line actually held up fairly nice. Certain things didn't go our way, but the O line held up fairly nice. So I think the guys are gelling, man. It's still 4 games, and everybody's panicking like, oh yeah, this coaching has not been the best and all of that. But still, let's not forget that this is a process. We were the worst team in the league for a reason. So we should not expect us to just bounce back and just have a wonderful season. Because we're in a league whereby everybody's used to instant success. So once things don't go right, everybody's like, oh yeah, this what it is, that's what it is. But at the end of the day, I just think it comes back to us making things simple for him and let him get in the groove. He will get it right. We do have a quarterback, but we can fail him. We are in a league whereby organizations fail young quarterbacks more than quarterbacks fail organizations. So yeah, we just have to get it right as a whole organization. And I love the last interview that he did. We needed that. And I think the guys will turn up off that.
Thanks for the call, Teddy. Yeah, it's a good point. Organizations fail quarterbacks more often than quarterbacks fail organizations.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking, we had a Get Up on in studio while Robbie and Rexford was on, and they were having a segment about are the Titans ruining Cam Ward? And I'm like, it's way too early for that. He's only 4 games in. Let's step back and look at the overall progress throughout this season when we get to the end of it. Like right now, it doesn't look good, but it's not going to be linear. And you would hope by the time, like it's October 2nd right now, let's look back in 2 months in December and see where he is in relation to where he started the season. And I think we'll have a decent idea of what Cam Ward is going to be in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it best earlier when we were talking about the 45% completion percentage in the first 4 games for Vince Young. He went on to win Rookie of the Year. Now, I'm not saying Cam is going to do that, but I mean, it shows you that there's hope.
Yes, and you've seen the flashes of him being able to make the special plays. It's time to see him start to make the ordinary plays. And if he can do that on a more consistent level, it's going to make this team and this offense a whole lot better. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. And Teddy was bringing up making things simpler for Cam Ward and keeping him protected. Getting some guys back from injury is going to be crucial for that too. And I know Brian Callahan yesterday said that J.C. Latham is close. It's just about what day. He did not practice yesterday. We'll have to see if he's able to get out there in a limited fashion today. Tajay Spears, his practice window was opened up. And we may talk a little bit more about this later, but I've said this to pretty much everyone we've had on this week, and I wanted to get your thoughts that the screen game has been absolutely horrible this year. And you're hoping maybe Tajay Spears, who that's the way they usually like to use him, maybe that could be something to spark the screen game because they keep trying it. They've tried screens over and over, and every time it seems to end in it getting blown up or a penalty. Maybe Tajay Spears coming back can open some of those things up.
It's crazy because it's like the cornerbacks turn into Night Train Lane when it's time to tackle a receiver on a screenplay. Like it's like they're Lester Hayes. Like it's crazy how good they defend the screen game. It's something that a lot of it is long developing. It's bad. They got to get away from it.
It's halfback screens, it's wide receiver screens. All of them get blown up. Or, I mean, 2 of them have gone for first downs, at least that I can remember this season, and both of them got called back for penalties. Zeitler got the illegal man downfield, and then Lloyd Cushenberry got called for the block in the back on Sunday against the Texans when Pollard was able to get through for a screen. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Continuing to talk Titans coming up next. Again, we've got TD for the full show today. ESPN put out an article yesterday, and it was, I saw somebody put this out there as it was sourced thoughts from Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano. Not really a report, but just kind of based on what they're hearing, what the Titans look like in terms of the head coaching situation, when Brian Callahan could be let go, if it's during the season, at the end of the season, and maybe what the market looks like if the Titans head coaching job was to open up. We'll talk about it coming up next. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up here on 102.5 The Game. This Sunday, the NFL game of the week is the Cowboys versus the Jets at noon on Sports Talk 830. NFL game of the week is presented by Circus Sportsbook Kentucky and Massaro and 12 South. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Yesterday, ESPN put out an article, kind of just a notebook of different stories around the NFL. Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano were the two contributors on it, and they did a full little segment about the Titans coaching situation and whether there was any kind of indication that the Titans were going to make a change soon. And they kind of talk themselves in circles a little bit in this article. If anybody out there hasn't read it, Jeremy Fowler mentions early on how the vibes are a little bit off in the building, and maybe the Titans won't be quite as patient as they thought they were going to be coming into the year, and there's discomfort in the building. But then at the very end, Dan Graziano guesses that Callahan will get the full year. So kind of a little bit contradictory there. But the interesting part of what I saw in this article was the note from I believe it was Graziano who put out there that if this job was to open up, he believes it would be a desirable job on the market with the young quarterback. He mentions the new stadium. And we were texting about this, TD. Also, don't forget, the most cap space in the entire NFL and likely a very high draft pick next year.
Yeah, a very high draft pick. I mean, all of that those are good things, obviously, but the roster needs so much help. So it's kind of like you're starting from a much worse place than some of the other jobs. But as long as you believe that you'll have the time to see it through, which is not something that anybody should believe, you're okay. But
that was where I wanted to go with this, is like a lot of Titans fans out there would guess this wouldn't be a very desirable job because of the temperamental nature of the owner over the last couple of years. I mean, if Brian Callahan gets fired, which he hasn't yet, it would be 4 straight years with a GM or a head coach getting sent out the door, which that doesn't happen across the NFL very often. And you wonder if maybe that plays into some coaching candidates not wanting to take this job. I think it all comes down to, do they believe that Cam Ward is the quarterback? Because you mentioned the roster needs a lot of work, but you're not starting from scratch, because if you have the quarterback, that's step one. And you can build around him with that $125 million in cap space or whatever it is. And if you can trade out of an early pick and get a couple other top 100 picks this year, maybe a first-round pick next year, that allows you to accelerate this rebuild. But if you have the quarterback, that's the big question. Which coaches believe that Cam Ward can be the guy and that they can develop him into a franchise quarterback?
And that's really what it's going to boil down to. And I mean, look, Cam Ward is he's a legit quarterback. Obviously, things aren't going well. Like I said, a good portion of that could be put on the coaching, as we went through the exercise with Trey. Obviously, Brian Callahan has previous experience in this situation, but they really need to do a better job of highlighting what it is he does well. And of course, there are limitations, offensive line, weapons, etc. But I don't think you need a superb offensive line to run some of the things that Cam Ward has been successful at doing in the past. So it is a matter, again, like I said, it's a collective failure. It's not just Cam Ward not playing well. It's Brian Callahan, Bo Hardegree, Nick Holtz. It's Tyke Tolbert. It's Calvin Ridley. It's Dan Moore Jr. It's Ali Udo. It's you name it.
There's not a whole lot of good on the offense. Like Cam Ward hasn't been good enough, but can you name anybody who really has been? Alec Iamaner maybe has been the one guy who's actually been good.
He hasn't been consistent.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not like he's putting up 100 yards a game. He does have better,
even 50.
He has better stats than AJ Brown right now, though.
Well, that's a whole different different story.
10 more yards and another touchdown for Alec Iamaner over AJ Brown. It just took a couple more years, but the Titans had finally replaced him. Just kidding. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Let's go to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. James is on the line wanting to talk Titans. James, thanks for calling. What you got for us?
Oh, I just got a whole plethora of stuff. I don't think Cam Ward's the problem here. I think it's as we say in the restaurant business, let's set our servers up for success.
Yeah.
I don't think this organization from the very top to the very bottom has done that for either Will Levis or, for that matter, we're starting it off bad for Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward is the future of this organization, but you got to put pieces around him, bro. I mean, the offensive line, we spent a lot of money, and Turron, I talked to you last week about this. I don't mean to bitch and moan about it and harp about it, but, you know, J.C. Lakin going out and him and Peter Skoronski, I think the three of us can all agree that those two are the best offensive linemen, but we spent a lot of money refixing this offensive line. It's just not performing. And also, I would want to say this, that when you trade away A.J. Brown, well, let's go back to 2019. When you trade your best offensive lineman, Jack Conklin, who went on, I think, the next year at Cleveland to be an All-Pro.
Yeah,
when
he left free agency, but
yeah, well, okay, fine. You didn't want to pay him the money, so he fled. When you do that, trade away your best wide receiver. You trade away the king, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. What do you expect? And then you bring in bums like Andre Dillard, Aaron Brewer, Dylan Radins, and Petit Ferrer. What do you expect? In my personal opinion, Turron, since Daniel Snyder sold the Commanders, this is the third worst ownership in the league, and they're not going to get better, in my opinion, until Amy sells the damn program. And I'll hang up and listen. That's just coming from somebody who is so frustrated. Have a great day, guys.
Yeah, thanks for the
you
call,
can hear
James.
the frustration in his voice.
Yeah, he had that pent up.
the moves that he mentioned, of course, the Derrick Henry one is going to get a lot of attention, but I mean, that relationship, it ran its course.
It was a mutual decision there. It's not like the Titans traded Derrick Henry away.
Yeah. It's. I mean, look, he knew after the Jacksonville game he was gone. He mentioned wanting to win a championship,
right?
Being sick that he couldn't bring it here. He's going to seek it elsewhere, and that just is what it is. Now the AJ Brown one, that one was a problem.
Yes,
that was just a flat out mistake. Letting Jack Conklin go, I could see both sides of the party, right? Because Conklin had sustained, continuous knee and a few knee injuries.
And that was the issue, is that they didn't pick up the 5th-year option on him because he had just torn his ACL when you had to make that decision. And then he got into his final year, and he wasn't quite as good as he had been in the past, and they didn't want to pay him elite tackle money,
and the Browns did.
Right.
And, I mean, it hasn't exactly worked out there in Cleveland.
Right. Hindsight's 2020, though.
Nevertheless, like him leaving, like that was the start of a big, you had the whole right tackle situation. So you got that. It's just one of those things where this organization made some moves. You had veterans exit. You didn't have the younger players coming in to supplant that. And that's where we are now. As far as what he said about being better for Cam Ward, I absolutely agree. This play calling has to get better. There has to be more layering. You have to see the run game and pass game marry. You have to see, when is the last time that you saw a Titans receiver just wide open? You know what I mean? Guys are getting open. Don't get it twisted from time to time. But when is the last time you just say, you know what? That was just a very well orchestrated drive.
Right.
That they did. They set up the pass by running this, and then you saw the play action, and then you don't see that too much. And I think that's the problem. So James is right. They do have to be better around Cam Ward.
Yeah. I still, and again, I preface it every time with, I understand you can't just press a button and take a deep shot and have it work out. But we haven't seen basically any play action, just let it rip to Calvin Ridley down the field, let it rip to Chimdike. I mean, we went through Chimdike's stats. Have you seen this from Chimdike? He has 5 catches. Guess how many yards he has?
12.
1.
And the thing is, again, it goes back to looking at what these guys do well and bringing it into your own situation. Chimdike, you watch his film, that deep over route,
right?
He ate off of that. Cam Ward happens to throw that pretty well also. Why are we not seeing Chim in the slot and you got the play action boot into the side that he's running? Why are we not seeing that?
I don't think Chimdike has had a target more than 5 yards down the field. Actually, he did have the one where Cam was mad at him. I think that was the Rams game where Cam thought he should have changed his route a little bit. But yeah, you haven't seen any kind of pressure downfield. The only times the ball gets downfield is when Cam Ward gets out and plays backyard football. Like, I understand the protection hasn't been good enough, but every now and then run a two-man route where you keep everybody in and just give Cam Ward a chance to rip it down the field. And again, easier said than done, but this team can't sustain drives. You need some explosive plays if you're going to put points on the board.
Well, here's the problem. You say run the two-man route, right? But this receiver group hasn't proven that
And yeah, that's a good point too.
they could just beat the guy in front of them consistently.
It's a universal problem for the Titans offense. Like, you can't really do what you want to do because no one is good enough right now. And something has to change if this team's going to start putting points on the board. I said with Corey Curtis yesterday, we were talking about how the defense and special teams basically has to gift wrap the Titans 10 points if they want to win any game. Like, either a turnover inside the red zone or a return that sets you up with good field position. You need them to set you up with 2 scoring drives because the Titans just don't have the firepower to go 75 yards on a drive and score a touchdown.
Yeah, it's no longer good enough for the special teams group to give them very good starting field position.
Right, starting at their own 40. Like, you got to put it in the end zone.
That's not good enough. They have to return it for a touchdown.
Yep.
They have to get a pick six, the defense, for a touch. Like, these, and the way this thing is set up, and it's been that way for a bit. The way this Titans team is, everything has to go perfect for them to win. If it doesn't go perfectly, chances are they're going to lose.
Yep.
And that's unfortunate because now every single play has that much more importance to it, and they just are not in a situation where, stuff could go wrong and they'll find success.
Yep. It's not been good enough, and the Titans, they need to win badly. They really do. We've talked about it like shooting in basketball. You need to see one go through the net. And right now, been a lot of air balls over the last couple of weeks. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. I thought James made another point about the investment in the offensive line. We'll talk about that coming up next. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly with you. Tune in as the Commodores take on Alabama this Saturday. Pregame begins at 1 o'clock on 94.9 The Fan with kickoff at 2:30. Vanderbilt football is brought to you by Gary Force Acura, Jimmy Kelly Steakhouse, and Smoky Mountain Tops. Also, make sure to get your questions in for TD. We will give you your chance to talk to TD coming up at 10 o'clock. Get your questions in. 615-737-1025, our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Coming right back here on Next Man Up, 1025 The Game. That was Brian Callahan. Lots of noise around the Titans over these first couple of weeks of the season. Callahan trying to block it out, hoping his team able to do that as well. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker, Kelly, next man up, 102.5 the game. Titans need a win. They're 0-4. They've lost 10 straight dating back to last season. Now 9-36 over their last 45 games. That dates back to the Mike Vrabel era. TD, yesterday, it was circulating around social media that the Titans trying to block out. John Robinson posted it was an anniversary or a birthday post for his wife and put in there, I guess it's still my fault. And I believe he put hashtag we ass in there as well. I had the conversation with Corey Curtis yesterday about how this team, yes, they've had the opportunities to fix some of the mistakes from those last couple of John Robinson drafts. But I think people are forgetting that the Titans did John Robinson attempted to keep the offensive line fresh and like replace them before you needed to, drafting Isaiah Wilson in 2020, Dylan Radins in the second round in 2021, and then Nicholas Petit-Frere in 2022. Those three guys are supposed to be starters on your offensive line right now. And guess what? Because they're not, you had to spend the 11th overall pick on Peter Skoronski instead of taking, I use Jackson Smith and Jigba as the example. He was on the board there. You had to take J.C. Latham at 7 instead of taking Brock Bowers, who could end up being the best tight end in football. Like that is where we are. It's not all John Robinson's fault still, but you can look back at the mistakes that were made in those drafts, and they are still having huge lasting effects that trickle down because not only do you have those players not on your roster, you have to spend high capital in order to replace those mistakes.
Well, yeah, and see, here's the thing, and we're kind of seeing it in the group chat where, I don't know what it is, but the ability to understand that everything isn't just one thing,
right,
is just
there's plenty of blame to go around.
It's very lacking in a lot of conversation that I've seen from this fan base. Now, granted, there are very intelligent fans as well, so I'm not saying all fans are elementary level, but I've seen a lot of the inability to understand that two things can exist at once.
Right.
John Robinson absolutely had an impact on this organization being where they are. Now, is it all his fault? No. Guess what? There could be multiple reasons. Chances are everything that goes wrong in life is not just because of one thing.
Right.
There's multiple things, right? And so you have a collective failure on a lot of parts, right? You got John Robinson with his draft. You got Rand. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
Rand made some moves, L'Jarius Sneed. He didn't have the final say on the Andre Diller, but it happened under his watch.
Right.
You have Mike Vrabel, who had the ego to say, hey, Andre Diller could come
That's
here
my
and
left tackle.
I'll make it work. So there's a collection of things that have gone wrong. And John Robinson absolutely has a part of that.
Right. It's a blame pie, and nobody has more than, I don't even think you could say anybody is more than 50% culpable for this situation. John Robinson has a lot of blame to go his way. Rand Carthon, Mike Vrabel, Brian Callahan, Amy Adams Strunk. Like
you could say Chad Brinker and Mike
Chad
Brinker as well, because you look at the Daniel Moore. It's like Oprah, right?
Right.
You get some blame, and you get some blame, and you get some. It's a collection.
Yes, and everybody wants to point fingers. That what you can take from it is it's just not good enough, no matter who's to blame, and somebody has to be able to fix it. And like that is where this team is right now. Is it doesn't do any good to point fingers at whose fault it is at this point. This team's really, really bad, and they have to find the right people who are going to be able to fix it. You feel good about Mike Borgonzi based on the draft picks that they've made so far. Like most of those guys have looked like they are going to be players for this team. But Brian Callahan so far has not proven that he can be a capable NFL head coach.
No, he has not.
If he is going to be let go, whether that's midseason, end of season, the next guy has to be the guy to turn it around, because you cannot risk wasting the number 1 pick on Cam Ward. Like Cam Ward has to be your quarterback, or else this team is not going to be good for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, if you miss on the number 1 pick on a quarterback, like you're typically set back 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, unless you get lucky, like the 49ers, they went chips all in on Trey Lance and got lucky that they picked Brock Purdy in the 7th round and ended up being able to go to the Super Bowl.
But, yeah.
You get lucky, but that's like a 1 out of 10,000 chance.
And even in that, like mentioning Brock Bowers, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, and those guys have played well in that scheme over there.
That's a good point.
Who's to say they would have been successful here? Just the same as who's to say like Peter Skoronski wouldn't be all pro with the Rams.
Right.
You know what
Who's
I mean?
to say Traylon Burks wouldn't have figured it out somewhere else?
I think there's so many examples, so I think when you look at this whole thing, what they have to do is look within and figure out, okay, why is it that players here they don't reach their full potential?
Yeah, it's a very good point. That it doesn't matter. Like you bring in good players who have proven that they're good players in this league, and they don't seem to be able to reach that potential again. Like Calvin Ridley, he had 1,000 yards last season.
He showed spurts,
right? But this is a guy who it's a first-round pick. Brian Callahan said in his affirmations for Calvin Ridley, like, you're a national champion. You've done this in the league, but he can't seem to figure it out. L'Jarius Sneed was an all-pro level cornerback. He can't seem to figure it out. Like there's got to be some sort of fix to why these good players just aren't as good when they put on a Tennessee Titans uniform.
There's just something about it's like, you ever been to the Bay Area?
No.
It's so funny. It's like, so on one side of you take BART, right? You're on this side in San Francisco. It's sunny.
Right.
You get on BART, you go through the tunnel, and you come out on the Oakland side, and it's gray.
Yeah.
It's like this is the Oakland. The Titans are the Oakland of the Bay Area. They're the Oakland of
the NFL.
The NFL.
And I don't know if that's where you ever want to be.
They just got to figure out a way to turn. And it's just so unfortunate because you saw that stretch and everything seemed to be together.
Yeah.
But it crumbled so fast.
Right. I mean, they went from number 1 seed in the AFC to the worst team in football in 3 years.
3 years.
It happens fast. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We see you on the phone lines. Coming up next, it's time to talk to TD. We give you your chance to ask questions to Turron. Davenport, 615-737-1025 is the phone number. You can text or call. We will get to all of your questions and calls coming up next. Hour number 1 in the books. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up here on 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, next man up, 102.5 The Game, Jake Lyman, ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter, Turron Davenport with us for the full show, Parker Kelly on the ones and twos. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. It is time for you to talk to TD. Get your questions in, 615-737-1025. You can text or call. We're spending the next half hour exclusively on your questions for Turron Davenport. Let's go to our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Vince has been waiting patiently. Vince has some thoughts on Dan Moore. Thanks for calling, Vince. What you got for us?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Love you guys.
Appreciate it.
Turron, you're the best, period.
Thanks, man.
No peers. Listen, I was going to talk to you guys about the development of, or Turron specifically, about if he sees enough in Dan Moore from his traits, from his tendencies, and I know he's been playing a little bit better. Do you see the tendencies and traits to, make him a left tackle, a franchise kind of guy? Or do we need to eventually go back and take another swing at a left tackle? God, nobody wants to hear that in the draft. I'll hang up and let y'all talk. Thank you much.
Yeah, appreciate that, Vince. I think this team will need to take another swing at left tackle. This contract is one that they could get out of after next year.
Zero dead cap after next year.
So I would say yes to that. As far as the traits, I mean, Dan Moore to me is a serviceable player that is stuck with the price tag that comes with living in the nice neighborhood.
Yes,
right?
you play a
an
premium
offensive
position
line in free agency. So I think that's really what it is. He has some traits though. I mean, like he's athletic, and it's been disappointing because I thought when you pair his athletic ability with, Bill Callahan, I thought that it would be
right.
And I just don't know. And that's another example of a known commodity.
Right, Bill Callahan
coming here and it just not having the same value.
Yeah.
Because who would have thought that this offensive line would struggle the way it has with Bill Callahan as their position?
Like, look at the names that he turned into decent players in Cleveland. And it's just like it hasn't worked out here. But Dan Moore was always a Band-Aid. Like, it's an expensive Band-Aid, $82 million. But they had to get it figured out. Like, you can't draft a quarterback number 1 and not go find something at left tackle. And he was always going to be the worst player on this offensive line when they're healthy. Like, that was obvious. But they made this contract basically a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
So that they could find the permanent replacement at left tackle.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they draft that guy this year, but I would think that they're going to use a pretty high pick in 2027 to go get a left tackle.
Point, yeah, they're going to get a tackle.
You're going to have to. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Get your questions in for Turron Davenport. Let's go back to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. T-Mac from Murfreesboro is on the line. T-Mac, what you got for us this morning?
Okay, I just want to know, why can't they draft a left tackle? Think about it, right? When they know all the way back to when they drafted Peter Skoronski, right? They drafted him. He was supposed to be in a left tackle. And then they said, oh, wait a minute. His arms are too short. Let's move him to guard. Then they draft J.C. Latham. They're like, no, wait a minute. He's really a right tackle. Then they draft Jackson Slater. Like, why can't they just draft a left tackle? And if left tackle is a position that's so hard to get, why can't they just draft 2 of them? Like, kind of like San Francisco, when they took Trey Lance and then they took Brock Purdy. I just don't understand. Like, every year they draft what they call an O-lineman, right? But that O-lineman is always a guard. Like, why can't they just draft a left tackle? And I hang up and listen.
No, I mean, T-Mac has a point. I get what he's saying. But, another part of the problem, you mentioned San Francisco. Well, San Francisco could draft a Trey Lance and a Brock Purdy. I remember Brock Purdy.
Those weren't the same
Mr.
draft.
Irrelevant, right. But the thing is, they could do that because their roster, like, they've done a good job.
Right.
in other drafts and in free agency.
They had the best left tackle in football, the best running back in football, top 3 tight end, best linebacker, one of the best edge rushers. Like, they had everything else that they could possibly need.
Done. So it's almost like they earned the right to take multiple shots. This Titans roster is, I mean, like, you think about it, you were saying, hey, in 2027 they're going to have to draft. Well, guess what? They are, in addition to the left tackle, they're going to have to draft probably a cornerback.
Right.
They're probably going to have to get another receiver. They're probably going to, there's so many things. Probably a running back. Probably this. Probably that. And the roster is so void of talent, like, you almost can't afford to take multiple shots at a position.
Right. That's why I said 2027 for left tackle, because you do have Dan Moore and you can't get out of the contract this year. So he's going to be your starting left tackle next year.
Yeah.
You got to use your picks this year on other spots. Like, you need an edge rusher. You need a wide receiver.
Right.
You need a cornerback, likely a running back.
And the problem is the shots as they've taken at left tackle have been epic failures.
Yeah.
We're talking about a first, second, and third round pick at tackle. Dylan Radins was drafted to be a tackle.
Yes.
Nicholas Petit-Ferrer was drafted to be a tackle.
Yes, both those guys played left tackle throughout their entire college career.
Isaiah Wilson
was a right tackle,
a tackle.
Yep.
So it's like they're trying for it, but it's just not working.
Yeah. And that's where maybe, like, we've talked about the Titans' quickest way to accelerate this rebuild is to trade back in this year's draft. If you get a high pick and can trade back and pick up that extra first in 2027, that gives you the flexibility of, like, all right, in 2027, maybe we still need a wide receiver. Maybe we still need another edge rusher, but we can take a tackle with one of those first round picks.
Yeah.
And that could be the successor to Dan Moore. 615-737-1025. Back to our phone lines here as we let you talk to TD. Adam from Portland is on the line. Adam, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Here we go.
Yeah, man. So I've not been a good fan, TD, and I've been too negative, and I refuse to do that anymore. I'm just gonna, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. So I've been calling less, but I will say this. So
keep calling, Adam. Keep calling.
Yeah, but I can't do it. I can't keep just crying about it. Like, it's putting me in a bad mental space.
Our door is open. Go ahead and lay down on our couch. I'm going to grab my pad and I'm going to start writing as you talk. Come on, let's
therapy
do it.
session.
Well, I'm going to need the medicine before we even start. No. So if you had two players you could pick, give me one on offense and one on defense from the 99-2000 team that you could pluck into this team right here and help them win a game this weekend, who would you pick?
I'm picking Derrick Henry because, like, he's just good regardless of the situation. Defensively, I mean, it's easy to say Casey.
I was going to say Javon Curse.
Wait,
you 99-2000. Go way back.
Oh, you said 99. Oh,
just okay.
You know what, Adam? When you said 9, and my brain just went to 2019. give me Javon Curse. Give me Javon Curse and Derek Mason. That's easy.
Yeah, that is true.
You know what that's going to do? Since you just put it like that, 99, and then we're not going to be good again for like another 20 years. That's what that means. Makes me real sad. Have a good day.
Thanks for the call, Adam.
Wait, I thought he said he wasn't going to be negative.
That lasted about all of 30 seconds. We should see. Check in with D-Mace on DVD. See if he wants to strap him up for this Sunday in Arizona.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it can't get worse, right, than what we've seen at the wide receiver position over the first 4 weeks. 615-737-1025. Continue to get your questions in for Turron Davenport as we let you talk to TD. We'll do another segment of it coming up next. Got a couple on the text line, but again, you can call or text 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Our phone line's driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. DVD with Willie Donick, Derek Mason, and Adam Vingen will be broadcasting live at the all-new Circus Sportsbook Kentucky in the Mint Gaming Hall this Monday prior to the Monday Night Football game. Head up there and watch the Chiefs-Jaguars game, plus ask about Circus giveaway of a trip to Las Vegas for the Titans and Raiders game in October. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Saturday's college football game of the week is Clemson versus North Carolina at 11 a.m. on Sports Talk 830, presented by Twin Peaks Restaurants and Circus Sportsbook Kentucky. Coverage also available on the Game Nashville app and at theGameNashville.com. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker, Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Your chance to talk to TD. Let's get to some more questions. We start on our text line. Ben asks, hey, TD, what are the chances that we get to keep the special team staff if we do get a new head coach next season? I know Bones Fossil he's been a popular one. Any chance that he would stick around with the new head coach? I doubt it.
It's always possible.
Right.
I mean, who knows? Like, it's hard to say, not knowing who that new coach is too. You know what I mean?
Well, the popular name has been Mike McCarthy. And wasn't Bones Fossil on Mike McCarthy's staff last year in Dallas?
Yeah.
So, like, I guess that would possibly make sense.
Why is it that Mike McCarthy is such a popular
head coaching experience and successful head coaching experience and the tie to Chad Brinker?
Yeah.
I think those are the two big reasons. I think, would you agree that the Titans are likely going to, if Brian Callahan gets fired, are going to find somebody who's been a head coach before, just because that has kind of been the overwhelming issue, with Brian Callahan, is that it seems like he's been a little bit overwhelmed with being a first-time head coach.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. But here's the thing. I don't know that a top candidate will come here.
Really?
Even if you're a head coach that got a crack at it before, why would you? Although there are some attractive things, you got to look at that 4 people being fired in 4 consecutive years and say, "Yeah, I don't know, man."
There's a lot going for this job. The issue is just the temperament of the owner. And hey, like, if things don't go well for a year and a half, I might be out of here. And the names that we bring up who have head coaching experience have been McCarthy, Cliff Kingsbury, Matt Nagy. I think those are the 3 that stand out. And, Matt Nagy has the tie to Mike Borgonzi from Kansas City. So you're right. Would those guys be a little bit hesitant to take this job, considering the way the Titans have had so much turnover over the last few years? But maybe those guys are so desperate to get back into head coaching and get one of those 32 jobs that they are willing to look past that to get back into the room.
And that's the thing with me. I think right now, Matt Nagy, Mike McCarthy, if you're going to go offensive head coaches that have previous head coach experience, I think those are the most likely candidates.
Yep.
If I'm Cliff Kingsbury, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, you must be crazy.
Yeah,
you think I'm coming here.
Who would have thought that Washington would be considered a better ownership situation than Tennessee 5 years ago? Obviously, Dan Snyder sold the team, but like, to say Cliff Kingsbury doesn't want to leave the Washington football team, the Commanders, to come to Tennessee because of ownership.
And it's not even that. It's to say that he would want to go to a better situation.
Yeah.
Right? Because you look at it, he's going to be the Brian Callahan of a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
The one that everybody wanted to
Ben Johnson.
get their hands on,
right.
Ben Johnson. You know what I mean? And he's going to have his pick. I don't know what jobs are going to be available, but he's going to have his pick of whatever ones. Every year there's 4 to 5 available. It is what it is. But if I'm Cliff Kingsbury, I'm not even considering this. But it keeps coming to me because we hear so much about ownership and having to sell. What would a new owner do that would make this? Because if ownership shifts from Amy Adams Strunk to me, and I still have Brinker and Borgonzi running the ship, like, how different is the ship going to be?
And first of all, like, Amy's not going to sell the team.
No.
Like, the one thing that, if you're looking for Amy to give up power, it would be if she gave it to Kenneth or something. Right. Yeah. Like, that's the only possible way that things change with ownership. And I think it's been a bad 5 years for Amy Adams Strunk of making bad decisions. But guess what? She can fix it by just getting the right people in here. And so far, she hasn't been able to do that. You think Mike Borgonzi may be the step in the right direction. If you can get the right people in here, Amy Adams-Strunk has proven she can be a good owner. She was a good owner when the team was good. And now that she's bad, the team's bad, a lot of the stuff has been blowing up in her face.
Yeah. It's just, there are obviously some things like, the way they have former players, it's gotten better, but it could still get even better. I just don't know. I'm curious what it is she does that just keeps this team from winning, because she's not the one making the decisions on the personnel. Like, she's not the one that drafted Isaiah Wilson.
Right. It's hiring the wrong people to make those decisions.
Yeah. It's just, there's, again, it goes back to what we talked about, where there's a collection of reasons.
Yes.
And it's so hard to really say, hey, this is 45% of the pie.
Yep.
The reason why.
She deserves some of the blame, but definitely,
Absolutely,
again, it goes around to everybody. And you're right. It's not like Amy Adams-Strunk is Jerry Jones and is picking the players. Like, at some point, she's going to hire people who are football people who are supposed to make good decisions, and they haven't been. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Your chance to talk to TD. Let's check in with Matt on our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Matt, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Yo, what's going on, fellas?
What's up?
A couple of things from my guy TD. Hey, TD, I was the guy that stopped you at the front of the game, last home game. Talk to you for a minute.
Oh, yeah. What's going on, man?
Yeah. Man, I can't call it, man. Suffering through this season just like every other Titans fan. But real quick, I don't understand. Well, first, don't let that guy trade back on the radio. That guy's too negative. It's too negative.
We hear that a lot.
Man, he's blaming a rookie now for everything going wrong with this team. So, real quick, do y'all think, both of you, that Cam is basically he's pressing? I think he's pressing now because this team is so bad that he's never had this level of failure. He's a high level athlete. He's been successful everywhere he's been, but this is a different animal here. Everything's bad around him. He's playing hard. He's trying too hard, I think, just me personally. One more thing too. You don't get better by trading good players away. We should have learned that from the A.J. Brown trade. Mm-hmm. We cannot let Big Jeff get out of the building. I don't care what we give him a piece of the team, whatever you got to do. We got to keep our guys, man. We got to. And also, TD, check out the new Jeezy, man. It's banging. That's all I got.
Thanks for the call, Matt.
Hey, listen, we get it all on these calls.
I love it. I love it. Again, get those in. Talk to TD, 615-737-1025. I'm glad he brought up Jeffrey Simmons, because that has been a hot topic around here this week with how well Jeffrey Simmons is playing, that he's raising that trade stock if the Titans were to move him before the trade deadline comes up in about a month. I think the question the Titans need to ask, and we've had this conversation before, we had it last week when we talked about who on this team is part of the next core. Who is part of the next team that is going to win in Nashville, in that new stadium? The Titans need to ask themselves, is Jeffrey Simmons part of the long-term plan for this team? And if the answer is no, you trade him, because you can use as much quality draft capital as you could possibly get. And the people are questioning what Jeffrey Simmons would bring back. Some people say a 1. I would lean that I think you could get a 1 out of somebody, but more likely a 2 plus a day 3 pick. That's really valuable. And if you don't think that Jeffrey Simmons is going to be one of the key players when this team gets good again, then I think there's no reason not to trade him.
I think you're right. I think you also have to look at it as can he be one of those guys, the transitional guys, right? The one that will kind of bridge the way towards the team being successful. And is that worth it enough to have the salary that is going to take to keep him around?
Right.
My thing is, typically when you draft a guy in the first round, you hope they develop into a Jeffrey Simmons.
Yes.
But then you also see the leadership and maturity on his part this year, outside of the incident with Cam Ward.
Yeah.
For the most part, you're seeing a more mature player that's having an impact beyond just the field.
Yeah.
And so it's like, is that something that you want to give away?
And you also wonder the message it sends in the locker room, trading away Jeffrey Simmons, of like basically you're phoning it in the rest of the year.
To other play, like it's sending a
Right.
bad message to other. Like if I'm a Peter Skoronski, I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Like if I'm Roger McCreary, I'm like, yo, I got an opportunity to go to a team that I'm going to go there because I see how they did Jeff. Who to say, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword.
Well, and you can kind of look back at the Jarrell Casey situation too when you look at Jeffrey Simmons. Like I think Jeffrey Simmons is a better player than Jarrell Casey, but Casey was part of a lot of those bad Titans teams, and by the end of his Titans career, they had gotten good. He was part of the AFC Championship team. He had the strip sack on Lamar Jackson in the AFC divisional round, but then they traded him for a 7th round pick the next year. And it's like, yes, Jarrell Casey was important at getting that team out of the cellar of the NFL, but you didn't get back a whole lot when you decided to move on. That's what you have to weigh here is what is more valuable. Can Jeffrey Simmons be part of what pushes this team back into being competitive? Or would an extra 1st round pick, an extra 2nd round pick help you more at rebuilding this roster?
And I'll counter that with Jarrell Casey helped show Jeffrey Simmons the way.
Yeah.
Right. So you have that part of it where you have a guy that, yeah, you know what? You may have gotten less value when you traded him than if you traded him early. But how much, again, the off the field stuff, how much of an influence did he have on Jeffrey?
Yeah.
Jeffrey Simmons will tell you right away, Jarrell Casey had a big impact on his career. So do you want to trade that also?
Yeah, and it's a good point. You look at the guys around that Titans team who, yeah, maybe they weren't the key players when the Titans got good again. Like Delanie Walker. Delanie Walker, when he suffered that injury in that nightmare game in Miami in 2018, that was basically it for him. I mean, he came back, but it wasn't the same with Delanie Walker. But can you say that this team would have gotten from 5 wins in 2 years back to being a consistent winning football team without Delanie Walker on the roster? Like that's the question you have to ask. Do you think it's more important to have Jeffrey Simmons around to spark this rebuild? Or do you think that the extra draft capital is more valuable? And we'll see what the Titans end up deciding. The trade deadline is November 4th, if I'm remembering correctly. 615-737-1025. Last call here as we talk to TD. Let's get to Rick on our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Rick, thanks for calling. What you got for us?
You bet. Number one, I love your show, guys.
Thank you.
TD, it's always a pleasure to listen to you. And I'm telling you, I agree with you 1,000%. You cannot trade away Simmons. He has to be that bridge. It's an important bridge. And you know what, man? We're going to have draft picks next year. We have a few already. And as bad as this team is going to perform, we're going to wind up with a bunch more, I think. So anyway, I think that, you get lucky with a great edge rusher, whether you trade or whether you get a pick. And that turns out, and just a couple other pieces, well, that defense is going to be formidable when you get Sweat back. And so, it's not like we're a million miles away when you have somebody like Simmons. And if you have a competitive defense, that means your offense isn't just like killing itself trying to make something happen. So I think trading Simmons, first of all, I think it's a bunch of hogwash. I think people just bring it up just to talk about it. But it would be the absolute last thing I would do if it was my decision. And I'll get off the phone and thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Rick.
Rick is right, though. Trading Simmons, I think, would be the wrong thing to do. And I think, like, this organization is desperately in need of a success story, desperately in need of good things happening on the field. Man, you see what Jeff did what he's done these 4 games? Like, it's been very impressive.
He's been the best player on the field a lot of these games.
Yeah. And so I think he's going to be the best player on the field against the Cardinals. And that interior part of the offensive line is very susceptible to a guy like him dominating. So, yeah, I just don't – I wouldn't – now, it would be different if he was a malcontent and, instead of saying, man, we're close, and he's saying, like, we just are terrible, this, that, and the third, and
right.
he wants to
out.
Go. That would be different. There's nothing saying you have to trade this man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I get the draft picks are important. They are, but when you draft guys, you want them to be Jeffrey Simmons.
That's a good point.
why trade what you have now for hope that what you could get with that pick would be, you know what I mean? To me, it's just going in a circle.
No, it's we mentioned it with Jarvis Brownlee in the trade of the Family Guy meme of like, well, Jeffrey Simmons is Jeffrey Simmons, but a first round pick could be anything. It could even be Jeffrey Simmons. And I get that. I am not anti Jeffrey Simmons trade. Like if they did it, I would understand it. But you do have him under contract for 2 more years. So there's no rush. He's probably going to want some sort of extension restructure in the next couple of years. But here's my thought is you listen on calls and you set the price high and you say, hey, we don't have to trade Jeffrey Simmons, but if you want him bad enough, give us this and set the price high. And if somebody's willing to match it, then maybe you do trade him. But there's no reason to give him away for anything less than what you think is the maximum value that you could get.
Yeah, of course. Like you definitely want to be open for business or receptive to
right.
calls,
It's like if somebody calls you up and says, hey, we'll give you a first and a second for Jeffrey Simmons, you can't turn that down. But it's like, I don't think there should be a whole lot of negotiations here of like, hey, what if we did a second and a fourth? It's like, nope, we don't have to trade him. You pay our price or he's staying here. And I think that's probably the way the Titans should approach it.
It really is.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Great stuff from all of you. Good questions for TD. You can still get those in. We'll try and get to as many as we can before the show wraps up. Coming up next, though, Paul Kaharski put out an article yesterday, and we're not going to spend a ton of time on this, but I just thought this was interesting. Paul Kaharski's article and report yesterday about the ticket rep who texted back to a season ticket holder talking about how happy the fan base is. We'll get into it coming up next. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game, Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly. Little Rihanna and Eminem here.
This ties in perfectly to what we're getting ready to talk about.
Yeah, love the way you lie. And yesterday, Paul Kaharski put out a tweet with a screenshot of a text message from a Titans ticket rep. And this made the rounds on social media yesterday of, I guess it was a Titans season ticket holder complaining about the direction of the team. You know, they've lost 36 out of their last 45 games, 20% winning percentage over basically 3 years. And Brian Callahan now 3-18 in his career as the Titans head coach. And the response from the ticket rep was, "We are 75% sold out of the new stadium. We just converted all of our current members over, so our fan base is very happy." How tone deaf can you possibly be? And I understand for these ticket reps, I'm sure that's half of their job is hearing complaints from Titans fans right now. Because when the team's losing, people aren't happy to pay their PSLs and pay their season ticket dues. Like, that's not what they want to do when the team, again, is 9-36 over their last 45 games. But you cannot say, oh, well, guess what? We're selling tickets in the new stadium, so clearly our fan base is happy, because it does not get more tone deaf than that.
Right. And that's just the ultimately wrong response to that. You never meet a disgruntled person with, hey, other people are happy, so you should be too.
Right.
Because a part of the customer service experience is making that tailored to the individual that you're dealing with. What that rep just did was take that and say, you don't matter because these other people are happy.
Right.
And that's really what it boils down to. You have to be able to make a person feel like, hey, they're the only one that matters right now, because technically they're the only ones that should matter, because that's the customer in front of you. That's who you're dealing with.
Right, exactly. And actually, like, I had a Titans ticket rep reach out to me this offseason because I had gone to a game the year before and they had my information, and I actually had a great experience with them. You know, I didn't end up buying tickets, but you know, they continued to reach out. They remembered things that we talked about. Like, I actually had a good experience. But clearly this did not go well with the ticket rep saying that Titans fans are very happy. The Titans vice president of communications and corporate affairs, Kate Guerra, responded and said, "Thank you for flagging this. We missed the mark in a big way. These comments have been addressed and we will do better." So, I mean, I understand that, yes, you want to sell tickets in the new stadium. Like, that is a big deal, because you're spending a whole lot of money. The taxpayers spending a whole lot of money on this new stadium, but you have to win. And that's what most fans want. Sure, there are going to be some sidewalk fans out there who they just want to go to the game and they want to experience the new stadium. But for the most part, if you want to fill that building consistently, you have to start winning games.
Yeah, you got to win.
And the Titans fan base is not going to be very happy again until you start winning games consistently.
Yeah. Now, here's something, what I would do if I was in charge of that department. I would hold a meeting, but I'll make sure that meeting is upbeat. I'll probably poll them. Hey, you know what? Chipotle, Chick-fil-A. What do you guys want? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would have food there at the meeting. And I would have the meeting as upbeat as possible. And my goal would be to create raving customer service employees.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you create raving customer service employees that love your product, that energy is going to come off in the interaction that they have with the customers. And I will tell you this, you could have all the money invested in marketing. You could have a billboard in Times Square. Nothing is as valuable as a customer who raves about your product.
Yep.
That's one thing. I have a marketing background. And that's one thing that I've learned along the way, is the best advertising is to have someone really love what it is that you provide and share that with somebody
Word
else.
of mouth.
Word of mouth is the best advertising. So I would do everything I can to make sure that experience, okay, it's a learning one. Going forward, this is what I want you guys to do. Make them understand that they're the only person that matters when you're talking to them.
Right. And these ticket reps and salespeople for the Titans, they obviously can't just be like, yeah, you're right, the team sucks, but do you want to buy tickets anyway? But you have to sell the things that are going well for this team. Cam Ward, That's an easy thing to sell if you're a ticket rep. Is like, oh, we have this exciting new young quarterback. You can come see him and sell the new stadium. There's a ton of features in that new stadium that people want us to come see. But to say the fan base is very happy at what may be one of the darkest moments in Titans history since they've moved to Nashville, like obviously 2014, 2015 were very bad too. You won 5 games those 2 years, but you're right there towards rock bottom of where this franchise has been in the 25 years that it's been in Nashville. To say the fan base is very happy, obviously missed the mark. And, it is funny to see that. And I think the Titans, they're in a tough spot of trying to sell the new stadium because that is important to them. But you can't sell it's hard to sell the new stadium when the team's this bad.
Yeah.
Like it's the worst team in the league. I bet that stadium would be getting close to 100% sold out for season tickets if this team was what they were 5 years ago.
But let me tell you, just from touring that place, that is going to be an experience. Oh, it's going to be awesome, man. You got the Ring of Fire. You got all the billboard. I had to go back in my notes, but there's like a tremendous amount of square feet of big screens.
Right. And it looks like there's not really a bad seat in the house.
No, it's built a lot along the lines of the Coliseum, which is one of my favorite structures ever. I love the Roman Coliseum.
Yeah.
I'm going there next summer. But anyway, as far as it being vertical and to make it to where you're right on top of the action and the players could feel your energy.
Yeah.
And so you could feel like you have an impact on it because, guys do feed off of that stuff. And just looking at the concessions and how, they're going to have a lot. Like, I don't want to sell the building for them. I just, and seeing that, I was very impressed.
Right.
But all of that doesn't matter if you don't have a good product on the field. And that is the question and the issue at hand. They have to figure out a way to improve this product because right now, like, getting paid to go to the game and being someone who loves football, I still sometimes leave there and I'm just like, man.
Yeah.
So I could only imagine how disgusted these people are that pay their hard-earned money to go see this. And I could just imagine the feeling that they have walking out of it.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who's been going to Titans games as a fan for a while, and not as long as obviously some of the people who are listening, but that I remember vividly leaving that Bills Monday Night Football game in 2021 with the 4th and 1 stand when Simmons stuffed Josh Allen and the Titans won that game, and the atmosphere just walking out of that stadium was palpable. I mean, making fun of the "Let's Go Buffalo" chants and you could just feel the energy in the building. And I was at the game 2 weeks ago against Indy, and I walked out of that building before the clock hit 000, and it was just dead. And they've got to find a way to get good football back on the field over there, especially with the new stadium being built and opening up in less than 2 years. Did you say Ring of Fire in the new stadium?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, crap. No more Ring of Fire. We're done with that as the touchdown song.
Yeah, well, maybe not the song, but the concept is going to be
okay. Gotcha. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll get to all of your thoughts on this coming up next and wrap up hour number 2. Don't forget Andrew Allegretta going to join at 11 o'clock to preview Vanderbilt against Alabama. Huge game down in Tuscaloosa this weekend. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Finishing up second hour of the show here on Next Man Up, 102.5 The Game. It is a TD Thursday. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly with you. Coming up at 11, Andrew Allegretta joins for his weekly visit. Going to preview Vandy and Alabama. Top 20 matchup down in Tuscaloosa. Game day in Titletown. Vandy looking to get to 6-0 with what would be back-to-back wins over Alabama over the last 2 years. But we are talking about Paul Kaharski's report yesterday about the Titans ticket rep who texted a season ticket holder customer saying that the fan base is very happy because they filled up 75% of the new stadium with season ticket holders. Let's get to some of your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. I mentioned my experience with the Titans ticket rep. Trevor said he continued to reach out. That's harassment, and I'd be blocking that. Can't use that word. After telling them one time I didn't want tickets. We got close there for a second. I mean, I didn't tell him I didn't want tickets the first time. I said, maybe I could be interested. It does get tough for me, though, once women's basketball season starts, because we typically have games on Sundays with Vandy. And with that, with the way the schedule is laid out this year, with only, 3 home games before November, it didn't really work out for me to get tickets anyway. Byron says, to piggyback off TD, when I worked in the restaurant industry, the rule of thumb they always told us was that if someone had a good experience, they may tell one person. If they have a bad one, they'll tell 10, which makes it even more important to take care of people. And that's a really good point. Like, that ticket rep saying that blew up, and thousands of Titans fans have now seen that. But guess what? If he had a good experience, maybe he does tell another person that, like, hey, I had a good experience with them. It is true that people, that's like why, when you look at reviews of anything online, you're more likely to see bad stuff because people are more motivated to go and bash a place than they are to go and praise a place after an experience.
Yeah. And like the restaurant business, the entertainment business, like this city is not short on things to do, right? So there are multiple choices that you could, multiple options that you could elect to spend your Sunday afternoon on, right? And so the Titans happen to be one of them. Guess what's starting soon? Hockey season.
Yep.
And
week from today.
The Predators, their games are an experience. I'm not a hockey fan, but I enjoy going to Predators games.
Right.
So you got that. That's going to be on Sundays. There's an assortment of things that you could do other than it's true. So knowing that, you need to, anybody that's interested in, you have to make them feel like you're appreciative of it, and you're going to provide them with an experience.
Yeah, this isn't Green Bay, Wisconsin, where there's absolutely nothing going on and the whole town is going to, swarm to the stadium on Sundays. If you're not putting a good product on the field and you're not making these customers feel valued, they're going to go do something else on their Sunday.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's just what this city is. Ricky with an interesting question in the YouTube chat. Hey, Davenport, do you think Eddie George is ready to coach in the NFL? That would be cool to open the new stadium.
I don't think he's ready, and it's DAVE.
Not an I.
But nevertheless, appreciate the comment. I don't think he's right. There's a progression that he has to make. And now, granted, like, guys have gotten fast tracked to the league. You know what I mean? Don't get it.
And he made a big jump from TSU up to the MAC, and maybe eventually, but you see more of that stuff in the college ranks because of the recruiting ability of it, right? Like, it helps you as a program to bring in a Deion Sanders or an Eddie George, or for my Hokies, there's been, should they bring Michael Vick in to be the head coach because he's at Norfolk State? It's like,
have Antonio Freeman be the receiver.
Right.
coach.
There you go. Yeah. Antonio Freeman can come in and be on the staff too. Could we get Bruce Smith on that staff? That's not that obviously Bruce Smith and Michael Vick did not play together, different eras, but that helps in the college ranks because you can recruit, and it's like you can sell these guys on like, hey, I've been to the NFL. You come play for my program. I'll get you there too.
Yeah.
In the NFL, having the former player doesn't help quite as much because there's no recruiting involved. If you're a good coach, you're a good coach. It doesn't matter about your pedigree of what you did when you played.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that's the biggest difference.
Yeah. So, but really good to see Eddie George having success in the coaching ranks. I mean, talk about a dude who has broadened his horizon since retiring from football, doing Broadway plays, and now he's back on the sidelines.
DJing.
Right. I mean, that is a dude, a man of many talents in Eddie George. 615-737-1025. final thoughts on this article from Paul Kaharski about the ticket rep is that the Titans, yes, they need to outwardly show excitement for the future with the quarterback, with the stadium. There are things to be excited about with this franchise, as much as it might not feel like it right now. But you also have to understand the context of where this team is right now, and that fans are not happy with the way this team is being handled, being managed, being coached right now. And you have to find a delicate balance of being excited for the future, but also understanding the failures of the present with this organization.
Yeah. I mean, I think you do have to find that balance. And it's just one of those things where stuff just has to get better. And you look at it and you say, I don't want to say it can't get any worse, but man, it's bad right now.
Every time we say that, it seems like it finds a way.
Exactly. Exactly. From 2 weeks ago to this past week.
Right. Every week it's like, all right, well, they played really bad last week. You'd expect they play better this week. And I mean, can it get worse than 26-0? I guess it can. 59-0 has happened before. So, we'll see what happens against the Cardinals on Sunday. We will get more into the Cardinals and Titans, preview that game as the Titans look for their first win since late November of last year, trying to finally snap that 10-game losing streak. But first, Vanderbilt taking on Alabama. Huge game coming up this Saturday, 2:30 kick. It's a 1 p.m. pregame on 94.9 The Fan, with the Preds having a preseason game on Saturday, I believe. So 94.9 The Fan, 1 o'clock pregame. We will talk to the voice of Vanderbilt football coming up next. Andrew Allegretta joins for his weekly visit. We'll talk about the game, the excitement, college game day, and everything around the Commodores coming up after this. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Final hour, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. We start off our final hour on this Thursday, as we always do, going to our phone lines driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com to speak with the voice of the Vanderbilt Commodores, Andrew Allegretta. Andrew, big game coming up this weekend. Thanks for calling in. Always excited to hear your insights.
What's going on, guys?
Not much. We're excited for this game. You know, college game days in town. Vanderbilt's 5-0, and obviously with everything that went on around last year's game with Vandy beating Alabama, number 1 Alabama at the time, it really feels like this is one of the biggest games in program history. Are you feeling the buzz around that building and around the fan base as you prepare for this game on Saturday?
Oh, for sure. I don't have perfect context on if it is the biggest game. It certainly feels like it's in the conversation. I mean, 2008 is a different context, but to have game day on campus and take on Auburn as a top 20 matchup certainly feels like that's in the mix and all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I got some sort of email where I saw Nick Saban, I think, is going to be honored during the game for the Hall of Fame, the NFF Hall of Fame. So game day's there. Nick Saban's getting honored. You've got a top 20 matchup with college football playoff implications. You can tell that people are moving with a little bit more urgency. I just mean there's like more stuff happening, which I think is just kind of a natural rhythm when you've got game day and Kirk Herbstreit showed up on Tuesday to do some interviews with the guys. So yeah, there's been a pace, I think, to everything this week.
I think it's clear watching Vanderbilt that this team is more talented than it was last year when it beat Alabama here in Nashville. And that gap with a team like the Crimson Tide is a lot closer, especially in the trenches. But Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong. It feels like the game plan to win a game like this has to be the same as it was last year, of play ball control, try and shorten the game, low possession game, and then take advantage of those opportunities if Alabama gives you them for turnovers and big plays on defense and special teams.
I mean, I think Vanderbilt's strategy to win is kind of the same every single week. And I don't mean that to like breeze past the skill set that Alabama has. It's like this is their identity. They are a running football team. They are going to try to control time of possession, which they're good in both of those metrics so far this season. They've had a little bit more explosive, I think. You know, guys, I just 2 seconds, real fast.
No, it's fine. I love it. They have something to say too.
You know,
yeah, I think they want to talk.
Yeah, like I've gotten into a rhythm of these interviews, and I enjoy doing it thoroughly. And I've been able to figure out how my 9-month-old sort of operates, how to get her from point A to point B, and all of that sort of stuff. So I did one with SEC Radio this morning, and normally I can hold her and she's pretty chill. She was chatty this morning. We brought up her desire to get after Ty Simpson with some blitz packages. She was really excited when we started talking about that. Obviously, time of possession fires her up as well. So, my 9-month-old is in the back.
Yeah, dealing with Drew on the radio is like dealing with Norm when you guys are calling the game. Like,
that's right. Locked in, focused. It's like a baseball player that's trying to do an interview afterward, and someone comes by and like the rally caps that are stacked up to the sky. Whatever. I do think Vanderbilt's strategy for success is kind of the same. I think what becomes interesting with this game is the thing that has been really helpful defensively is the ability to pressure the quarterback. They've been able to get after drones or Sellers or Doty when he came off the bench or whoever. I think they're 4th in the Southeastern Conference in sacks so far with 14 of them. Well, you can dial up the pressure on Simpson, and that would be great because he's got no turnovers so far this season. And Vanderbilt, it feels like, needs to kind of change that to be able to find success back-to-back seasons versus Bama. But if you miss, man, they got guys that are going to torch you. So how they balance, like if you leave your corners, not to say Vandy can't cover, but if you leave your corners cover 0, like too much, that's a lot of explosives. So I think how they kind of dialed that in might be the one splash of difference from their strategy a year ago.
So if Vandy is able to go into Alabama and beat them, the number 10 ranked team, I would imagine they'll go from 16, 17 to, top 10. How well equipped do you think this program is to handle the weekly pressures that come with that, right? Being the team that, hey, we got to go out and beat Vandy to make a statement.
I mean, you don't know until it happens, right? They've not been in the position of being the hunted versus the hunter. Someone else can put time context on that I can't. What I would say is Clark is very consistent with his message to the guys about what it takes on any given weekend to be victorious. He talks about the 4 opponents, and I'm not going to run down the entire list, but you're talking about the game itself, the opponent, you're talking about the environment, and you've got to be able to handle yourself in each one of those arenas to be successful. And some of that is the prep throughout the course of the week. Some of it is Diego's maturity throughout the past 12 months. I mean, he's still confident. He still is talking, and I think he's saying everything you would expect Diego to say, nothing that is disorienting or out of the norm. I think, as you continue to climb, they're going to have to manage how many, in our world, media requests they're willing to take and all of that sort of stuff. But that's probably a question for hopefully Saturday night, because we don't know just yet. And I will say, for what it's worth, if Vandy loses the game, they're still in the college football playoff picture. Like, coming out of Saturday night, going into the bye, at worst, they're 5-1 and 1-1 in the Southeastern Conference. And you've got a lot of games that you can attack moving forward. But, I know this team is not satisfied with simply being 5-1. And, as much as Diego and Clark and others were kind of, I don't know if scoffed at is the right word or whatever, but when Diego talks about he didn't come back to go 7-6, I mean, these moments are what he's talking about.
So when you look at the receivers, Ryan Williams and obviously Jeremy Bernard, who is one of my favorite receivers in the country, how do you think, because you mentioned it, cover zero, how do you think the secondary can match up against those weapons?
Peter Burns asked me the same question, and I went all coach on him. And I'm probably going to do the same to you, TD. It's 3 levels of defense. It's, can you find ways, to borrow Clark's term, to vice the pocket, to scrunch the pocket down on Ty Simpson with 4 rushers? How many blitzers do you have to bring? How well can you mix and match your coverages? To isolate it to just the secondary, I don't know. Obviously, Williams, and you're right. Bernard has been kind of over Williams, the guy that's been the primary person. But the more that you can make them a one-dimensional offense, the more you can get Ty Simpson off his mark. Like, as much as we want to talk about the secondary, it's probably more about the defensive line, and can they get pressure with Capers and Sidnor, and can you just get a quarterback that's been really comfortable so far this season? Goodness, he went 17 for 17 versus Louisiana Monroe. Competition aside, it's still 17 for 17. How can you make a comfortable quarterback uncomfortable? And then we can probably have a conversation about the secondary.
Andrew, last one for you here. Diego Pavia is firmly in the Heisman conversation right now with the way he's played through the first 5 games. And the one thing that's been clear to me, and I know you mentioned it on Saturday, is as good as he was last year, he has improved exponentially as a thrower of the football. The ball placement, the zip on his throws is noticeably better. How much more dangerous has that made this offense? And how can that allow them to compete with some of these top teams in the SEC if he's able to be a consistent thrower from the pocket for this team?
I mean, it just makes you multidimensional, right? And it makes defenses guard Vanderbilt in new ways. I do think Tim Beck has just been masterful as the offensive coordinator, dialing up all sorts of different looks, all sorts of different players. Like, you go up and down the explosive plays that Vanderbilt has made this season, and it's not just Pavia rushing for 50 yards or Cedric Alexander rushing for 50 yards, she's fired up, man.
She's ready for the
It's
game.
a big game this weekend, man.
Goodness gracious. Like, I'll let her call the game if she's got this sort of pop. Holy cow. You go up and down. Like, Richie Hoskins has a 53-yard touchdown reception. Bryson Coleman has a 54-yard touchdown reception. Pavia is firing it into windows. Yeah, I know that one. That's right, Drew. He's firing it into windows. And it's been impressive to watch. It just means that they're multiple. It just means that Tim Beck can dial up more things. And the more he can dial up, the more off balance defenses are going to be, the more explosive they can get, the more they can control all of this sort of stuff. So I've been really impressed. It's 75-ish% completion so far for Diego Pavia, which is 15 percentage points higher than his career average. Like, he's playing, whether NFL scouts think he's an NFL quarterback or not, he's playing an NFL IQ brand of football at the moment. We'll see how Bama challenges him on Saturday.
Andrew, as always, appreciate you taking some time. We'll let you get back to daddy duty and excited to listen in on Saturday.
Yeah, look, if you hear Drew in the background on Saturday, you know something like deeply, deeply wrong with child.
Yes, we'll have to listen in if Drew is drowning out Norm on Saturday.
Great, yeah, all right. Well, Drew, Norm would probably concede his headset.
That's true.
Knowing Norm,
that is a good point.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks for calling in, Andrew. Appreciate it.
I have a daughter named Drew also. I should have asked him how he spells it.
I think it's normal spelling.
Oh, DREW.
Yeah.
Hers is DRU.
At least I'm pretty sure about that.
Gotcha.
Andrew Allegretta, voice of Vanderbilt football. Appreciate him joining us, previewing a massive game on Saturday. Number 16 Vanderbilt traveling to Tuscaloosa to take on number 10 Alabama College. Game day in town. Vandy a chance to start 6-0, clinch bowl eligibility on the first weekend in October. You can listen in to all the coverage starting at 1 o'clock on 94.9 The Fan with kickoff set for 2:30. We will take a quick break. We will react to what Andrew had to say, preview that Vandy-Alabama game a little bit further on the other side. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5, The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker, Kelly with you on this Thursday. About 45 minutes left in the show. We'll get back into the Titans in just a second, but appreciate Andrew Allegretta joining us for his weekly visit to preview Vanderbilt and Alabama. Again, that is a 2:30 kick. You can listen on 94.9 The Fan with pregame starting at 1 o'clock. Vanderbilt, there's still a narrative around this team of, the same old Vanderbilt, and a lot of people are picking Alabama just because of, oh, it's Alabama, Vanderbilt, they're going to win and show us who Vandy really is. But if you've been watching this Vandy team, this is a different Vanderbilt team than what we've seen in the past. I'm not saying that they're going to win on Saturday, but anyone expecting that this isn't going to be a game late into the third, fourth quarter clearly hasn't been watching what Vanderbilt's been doing this year.
This is a different team, man. Like, this team has juice, and it's just so amazing what, having just a guy that could be a catalyst like Diego Pava. They can't pay him enough money.
Yeah.
He's
the
breathed.
$2 million or whatever that came out that he's getting paid is
double it to four.
It's a bargain.
He's breathed so much energy into this program. It is unbelievable how, because I remember getting here in 2018 and walking over there to the campus, and I'm like, okay, this is where the misery takes place. You know what I mean? But now it's like, I want to go see them play. You know what I mean? And it's where you're seeing more than just the students there at games. Like, people want to go see Vandy play, and not because they're playing in LSU or Georgia, whoever. You know what I mean? They want to go see them because they want to see Vandy.
Yeah,
they want to see Pavia.
Right. The turnaround from 2-10 2 years ago. Khalif Raymond's on Good Morning Football right now.
Yeah.
The turnaround from 2-10 2 years ago to where they are now. This is the week where, last year beating Alabama put them back on the map of like, oh, maybe Vandy's got something here. This is the one to solidify it. Like, you win this game, you are right in the thick driver's seat in the playoff race. And I think Diego Pavia becomes the Heisman favorite if they win this game. Depends on how he plays, obviously. But I think Diego Pavia becomes your Heisman favorite if they win this game on Saturday at Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, with the Oklahoma quarterback, John Mateer being hurt.
Dante Moore would be up there too, the Oregon guy. But
no, man, he's a baller.
And that was he made some plays in that Penn State game down the stretch. But if Pavia on national TV goes in and beats Alabama for the second year in a row, I don't know how you don't put him right at the front of the conversation to go to New York.
He's got to be in the mix, man. It just, you smile because you think about that, like a Vanderbilt player being a Heisman candidate.
Right.
But it's legit.
Not even winning it with, obviously the goal is to win the Heisman Trophy. The goal is to go to playoffs. But like, if Diego Pavia is sitting in one of those chairs in New York in December, like, crazy what can happen in 2 years. And Diego Pavia has been, there's a lot of people, just as we were saying, you can't blame everybody for the Titan struggles. There's a lot of people who have been involved with Vanderbilt's resurgence. Clark Lee, Jerry Kill, Tim Beck, but Diego Pavia has to get a large portion of that, not blame, but credit for what Vandy's been able to do the last couple of years.
No, without a doubt, man.
Let's go back to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Our friend Clay has called in. Clay, good morning. Go ahead.
Jake, how you doing?
Doing well.
I wanted to, I've talked about this a little bit already about the game, but I kind of wanted to talk about something else around the game, and that's the one difference I see in Diego's play this year and last year. If you look at last year, Jake, everything. I'm talking mainly about his passing. His running is what it is, and he's pretty good at that too. But passing the football, a lot of times his most successful passing plays would be when something breaks down. The pocket kind of crushes and he escapes. This year, the difference I see in the way this kid is playing. He's become a better pocket passer, in my opinion. He's got a better offensive line. They're protecting him better. And I've seen plays that he makes from the pocket. And this guy is completing what I think close to 75% of his passes.
Yep.
And so he's delivering the football accurately, and now he's doing it more from the pocket. That's one difference that I see.
Clay, thanks for the call. And that's a great point. I was talking to Andrew about that, of just you can see the difference in the explosiveness out of his hand on these passes. And go watch that game against Utah State on Saturday. The second and third touchdowns to Junior Sherrill in the first half are just tight window back shoulder throws. Like that. That's something that I don't think he did consistently last year. He could throw the football and he made the right decisions, but he wasn't able to kind of push the ball downfield and make plays exclusively with his arm. He's been doing that this year, and that makes this offense a whole lot more versatile.
Yeah, and you got to like that, just being able to take your game to another level and finding ways to do that after being the guy that, you know, he was the man. He could have sat on it last year and just been like, hey, man, look, like I've arrived. But no, he found ways to get better.
Yeah, and he has been great. You look, 13 passing touchdowns, a couple rushing touchdowns. He's got 300 yards on the ground, over 1,000 through the air. He has been a special player so far this year. I saw On3 just named him the best player of September across college football. And this is a huge test. I mean, this is what you play for, is games like this on Saturday. You've got a national audience. You've got College game day in town. I mean, Andrew saying Kirk Herbstreit lives in Nashville, so he came through and did some interviews this week. Like that, this is what you sign up for when you play SEC football. And Vandy, for a while there, wasn't really included in all of that.
Yeah.
You know, I hate to always go back to it, but Paul Feinbaum's comments in the Netflix documentary of like calling Vandy the doormat of the SEC was an insult to doormats. Like that's what the vibe was around this program for a long time. And Clark Lee has completely flipped that. Diego Pavia has completely flipped that to, I mean, do you think anybody in that Alabama locker room feels secure heading into Saturday?
They better not.
Because last year they did, and we saw what happened.
Goalposts in the river.
And that's the difference, is you've gone from being the team that, you know, the Titans right now feel like they're everybody's get right game. That's kind of where Vandy was at a while. It was like, oh, team needs to get right. They played Vandy. That's not the case anymore. And Vandy, a win on Saturday, just like you talked about with Andrew, is they stop being the hunter. They become the hunted, because they're going to be a top 10 team in the country.
Yeah, and just imagine that top 10 team, Vanderbilt University football. That's just, it's crazy to mention that together, but that's where we are, and Heisman candidate. So I think when you look at this, if obviously you don't put the cart before the horse, they got to
They got to go win the game on Saturday. Yeah,
but if they are able to win this game, as I believe they will, this is a major step forward for the organization, and it's cool to see them having taken so many steps, and now to take another one that's even bigger than the ones they did before. Right.
You know, they've marched all the way up to the gates, and it's like they got to break it down now. This is the moment where Vandy can go from being a cool story to being an actual college foot. They're a playoff contender whether they win or lose. Like, they still have the games in front of them to get to the playoffs even if they lose. But you win this game, you go from Cinderella story to, oh man, this team, all they got to do is win a couple more games and they're in. Like, or they're playing at Tennessee to get in to the playoff at the end of November. It's been a special ride through the first couple of weeks of the season, back to last year. Big game on Saturday. And again, that is a 2:30 kick. You can listen on 94.9 The Fan. Pre-game coverage starts at 1 with Andrew, Kevin, Norm, and the whole crew. We will get back into the Titans coming up next with TD. Looking ahead to Sunday's game against Arizona. The Titans have lost 10 straight games, and we were just going through, you know, there haven't been a whole lot of 10-game losing streaks in Titans history. There's been a few, but it's hard to lose 10 straight games in the NFL. Titans trying to make sure it doesn't get to 11. How can they get that done? And how important is it to finally get one win this season to just get some vibes going in the locker room and avoid maybe this team starting to give up? We'll talk about it coming up next. We'll get to your phones. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up here on 102.5 The Game.
He had a return for a touchdown last week. Khalif Raymond.
Oh yeah,
On Fox 17, meteorologist Brett Luna.
It's,
The streets are nice and calm. Weather is going to stick
it's
around with
tough
us through the weekend. We'll be mostly sunny and dry with
that
highs
they
in the
let
mid or
him
upper
go,
80s each day.
because
We
I mean,
finally start to bring
he'd be
in
a nice
chance
guy to
for
have
some
right
showers
now.
by Monday.
But again,
That was Cam Ward yesterday talking about getting Tajay Spears back from injury after he suffered that high ankle sprain in the first preseason game against Tampa. His practice window is open. It's 21 days, but a chance that he is back out on the field on Sunday when the Titans take on the Cardinals. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 the game. We touched on a little bit earlier, TD, that Tajay Spears coming back. Not saying this is going to be a spark that gets the offense scoring 30 points a game, but could be an important addition in the screen game like we talked about, but also like Tony Pollard, he's had his moments. He's had a couple of really good runs. He's still averaging less than 4 yards a carry. Taking some off of Tony Pollard's plate and having Tajay Spears to take some of those carries could be important for the running game as a whole.
This team desperately needs explosive plays, and that's something that Tajay Spears is going to bring to you. So I think that's a good thing. You talk about the screen game. I mean, remember the Jacksonville game last year, the season finale? Like, he caught that screen and he scooted down. I think it was inside the 5-yard line, no red zone regardless.
Right.
So you definitely want to have a guy like that back. He brings a jolt of energy and excitement on the football field, but even in the locker room. He's a guy that's upbeat. He's one that just, you need those good vibes, that good energy, right? You need that, especially in a time like now. And the thing that's really good about this is, yeah, he's a part of the team that lost the 4 games, but you're getting a fresh degree of freshness. 'Cause, yeah, he wasn't on the field. You know what I mean? And so there's a different hunger. I don't want to say different hunger, but there's a freshness to him that could give that team some juice if he is activated. Because I will be honest, watching him move around yesterday, you could tell. And I have a video on Threads. I got plugged Threads. I have a video on Threads actually that shows him going through practice and the individual period, and you could tell, like, okay, there's still a little hiccup. It's not the same as it was before.
Yeah, not sure that he's going to be active on Sunday, but getting closer for sure as they open that window. You would hope maybe the Vegas game at the latest, maybe the Patriots game, but we'll see. I think that's the one hope you have for this offense starting to figure things out, is getting guys back from injury.
Mhm.
And Spears is obviously a big piece. Latham would be the biggest piece.
Yeah.
And Brian Callahan said yesterday, as he was walking out of the press conference, that he's close, and they feel like he's going to be back soon. He didn't practice yesterday, but getting him back and having that 5 on the offensive line that you planned on all offseason, that could be a big spark to get this team back on track offensively.
Yeah, and I think it's more just a feel of, and not even a feel, but a guess of, okay, I understand he's healthy, but what are the chances of re-injuring it? And that's one of the things that,
he's going to go on IR if he re-aggravates it again.
Right. And then that's one of the things they're afraid of is rushing him back and having to be a little more long-term. Obviously, it's been long, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about 3 games now. Well,
three
including this
and a
week,
half
it'll be
games.
4.
Yeah.
I want to say this also, because everybody's just like, hey, put him on IR, put Kevin Winston on IR. Look, guys don't, like, Mr. Miyagi isn't waiting in the IR room to put his hands together and, rub them and put them on these players and heal them instantly. Just because you're on IR doesn't mean you're going to heal any quicker. And it's not like there's an abundance of players out there to flow into a roster spot while he's gone. You know what I mean? So I wanted to say that, but I think when you look at this, they're being cautious. It's a young player. It's a cornerstone player. You got to make sure that he is right before you get him out there.
Yes, and maybe not a good sign that the Titans claimed Brent Banks off of waivers this past week, of, like, if you felt like you were going to get Latham back, maybe you don't have to go claim a tackle.
Yeah.
But maybe that's another guy who starts to factor in that swing tackle conversation.
Well, I mean, if you ask Kevin Zeitler, Ali Udo played really well.
Yeah, and I honestly, the sack totals have gone down in every single game.
Yeah.
To be fair.
And quietly, and it's not always on the offensive line either. You know, and Cam Ward will admit that. Some of the receivers, they need to admit that too. Like, hey, we got to do a better job getting open for Cam so he doesn't have to hold the ball, so he doesn't get tackled and it gets put on the offensive line.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I think when you look at, as you mentioned, how things have gotten better, you're right.
6'5", 4'2". That's the sack numbers.
The numbers have gone down.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But it's just like, whew. I know the sack numbers are going down, but there's still a lot of pressures.
Right.
And so to me, that goes back to where we were in the start of this program in talking about the RPOs and talking about moving the pocket and rolling Cam out. When you go against a team, well, last week was a bad example because both guys are good. But, if anything, I would roll away from Dan Moore or roll away from Ali Udo to Dan Moore's side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's things that they could do and incorporate into the offense that they need to incorporate. But then at the same time, we never know, like, is that the play call and Cam shifts it to something else?
Right.
There's so many things. And that's why I'll be critical. Don't get it wrong. But I'm never going to be like hey, they're dumb.
Yeah,
They don't know what they're
you
doing.
don't know what their
'Cause you
assignment
don't
was
know.
on any play.
You don't know.
And that's part of it is like you can look and say, man, that guy really messed up, but you don't know what he was being asked to do on that play, which makes it tough looking from the outside. Let's go back to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Edward has been waiting patiently. Edward, thanks for calling. Good morning. Go ahead. Edward, you there?
Come on, Edward.
All right, no Edward. Thanks for calling. If you want to call back, we'd be happy to hear from you. Also noticed on the injury report yesterday, Calvin Ridley didn't practice. And I know Brian Callahan said that he was kind of fighting through some things on Sunday. Do you think maybe a week off could be helpful for Calvin Ridley just to maybe reset the brain, reset the body, and get him back healthy heading into the Raiders game? Or do you think he'll be out there on Sunday?
I think he'll be out there. A week off couldn't hurt. But, I mean, for me with Calvin Ridley, I think he needs to get as many shots at it as possible.
Yeah.
To me, and just in talking to him, he's a guy that has to do stuff. Like, he's not someone you want sitting idle. You want him to get involved. And I'm not saying if he sits idle, he'll get in trouble. I'm not saying that. But I think if he sits idle, he has an opportunity to get too much into his own head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But being able to flush it and go back out the next week, I think is ideal for him.
Yeah, and this is an important week. Every week's important for the Titans to just, we said it all show long, just get a win. You need a win because, you'd like to think that these guys, they're getting paid a lot of money. This is their job. They're all playing for themselves too. But it can be easy if you get to 0-5, 0-6, 0-7, and you haven't won a game in almost a year for these guys to maybe start to check out a little bit.
Yeah.
And you don't want to lose the locker room like that, which, you run the risk of the longer it takes you to get that one win, to just get that monkey off their back and maybe start to play a little bit more free.
And the thing is, the more you continue to lose, the more you're going to get away from, oh, it's close. Like in talking to like Kevin Zeitler, Jeffrey Simmons, Peter Skoronski, like these guys are like, hey, man, like we are so close.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the more you get away from that, the less confidence you're going to play with. And I think when you look at, just how desperate this team is for a win, like, man, you could really see it. And I remember yesterday asking Peter Skoronski about that, and just the look on his face, it told you everything when you look at just how desperate he was for the win. Because I was like, if you could break the ice, what's it going to be like? And as I said earlier, I think it's huge just to feel it, he said, and knowing what it feels like, giving that little confidence boost going forward. And he said it speaks for itself. We felt the lows for so long, so to put one in the win column would be big.
Yes, and chances to do that. Like, nobody that they're playing over the next couple weeks are Super Bowl contenders. Like, you got the Cardinals, you got the Raiders, you got the Patriots. And I know the Patriots game is going to have a microscope on it because of the variable of it all. But, like, none of those teams are Super Bowl contenders. You can't go 0-3. Like, you got to go win a game, and that could start this week against the Cardinals on Sunday. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We've got Edward back. Edward, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Okay, guys, can you hear me all right?
Yep, we got you.
All right. I have a lot of respect for both of you guys and your opinions, so I appreciate what you're doing, the studying of it and analyzing it. A couple of comments. One, Americans are very impatient. Okay, they want the food fast. They don't want to stand in line. They want everything instant. I know this is a hypothetical. You might not answer it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If we still had, and I know, here we go again, we still had Evan Byron, all he's washed up. But didn't he just win the Chicago Bears football game for him Sunday?
Just won again.
A.J. Brown, Derrick Henry. There's one show on here that asset management. Let's get rid of Jeffrey Simmons. He's convinced we've got to get rid of Jeffrey Simmons now. Bernard Hopkins, Julio Jones. Eric, do you think we would be 0-4? What about let's throw in there John Robinson and Mike Vrabel. Ownership. That's what the problem is. Ownership. Okay. And I just like to hear y'all say, if we had all those players, where would we still be 0-4 right now?
Yeah.
I heard thousands of people in my career. I never got rid of my good people. I played it out. Anyway, I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
I mean, so yes, for sure. If you still had Derrick Henry and AJ Brown, I think you definitely wouldn't be 0-4 at this point.
Yeah.
There was for some reason, this team wanted to tear it down really fast. And it started with the AJ Brown. And I think that 7-game losing streak in 2022.
That was the backbreaker.
Right. Like you were still 7-3 without AJ Brown at that point. And you felt like you still had the pieces to go make a run. But that 7-game losing streak and you lose to the Jags and that win an in-game, I think at that point, there was just an over excitement to like, hey, let's just tear it all down.
Yeah. Hit the ceiling.
Right. And who knows? Maybe if they had just tried to build around Derrick Henry again, I don't know. How many more years did Ryan Tannehill have left? I mean, he hasn't played since he left the Titans, and injuries were piling up. I don't know. But I think that's a big reason is that 7-game losing streak, I think the Titans hit the panic button after that and have never been able to get it back.
Yeah, you're right. But you talking about play calling, putting a guy in great position. Tannehill was like at an all-time level when you talk about yards per completion on play action and completion percentage. Like we're talking about Steve Young and I think like Fran Tarkenton.
Yeah, I mean,
those were the other two names.
2019, 2020, 2021. Ryan Tannehill is the best quarterback play that this city had seen since Steve McNair.
Yeah, and so a lot of that was play calling. You know you got a guy who will run through the catch and get you yards after the catch.
Yep.
You know you got a running back that's going to dictate all types of attention. And you know you got a quarterback that will pull the trigger and fire that thing in there and hit him in stride. Like, so you call the play. Like they called that same play action strike route. They called that a good 6 to 7 times a game.
Yep. I mean, the play call to Khalif Raymond in the playoff game against the Ravens.
Post,
It was that's the same call as that 2019 season, the like 95-yard touchdown to AJ Brown. It was just play action post. And they hit that consistently.
Oh, you talking about the Raiders game?
Yeah, the Raiders game. Yeah.
Where he jumped and stuck the landing,
right,
and then smiled. He was cheesing that
off
that
to the
was
races.
Funny, man.
You know, Arthur Smith. You wonder how much of a factor that was losing him after those 2 great seasons. Now, 2021, you went to the AFC, or you were the number 1 seed in the AFC with Todd Downing, but you could argue Todd Downing was. They did it despite Todd Downing, not because of Todd Downing.
Well, let me ask you this: you talk about guys who have been head coaches.
I was
before.
about to say that Arthur Smith. I would not hate it. I really wouldn't.
I wouldn't hate it at all.
I think that is a hire that, yes, it didn't work out in Atlanta, but this is a guy who he was in your building for a long time. He knows the culture. He knows the culture. He knows the city. He knows the ownership. And he's proven that he can be a good play caller in this league.
Yeah.
I think that is a hire that we haven't talked about enough.
And talking about AJ Brown makes me sad.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned the 7-game losing streak, but like, if you really want to point to the moment this thing fell apart, it was when Mike Vrabel stood up from the table and walked away after they announced the AJ Brown trade. Like that was.
He told me he said that gutted me.
Yeah, I mean,
it gutted me.
It was like 2 months earlier where he said, as long as I'm the head coach, we're not trading AJ Brown.
I'll tell you, man, look, I put the headset down and walked away. I couldn't do the rest of the show. I was done.
Yeah.
I was done. It was atrocious.
I was that night, I'm a Phoenix Suns fan, and they were playing in the playoffs, and it was a game 6, I think. And so I had the dual screen set up. And so at that point, the game was wrapping up, and I was locked in on that instead of draft. And I started getting texts of like, oh my God, Jake, I'm so sorry. And I was like, what happened? Yeah. And then I looked over to the other TV and I saw the trade details and ruined my night. Ruined my night. 615-737-1025. Sorry to depress everybody out there for a couple of minutes. We've got one more segment left on this Thursday. We'll wrap things up. Maybe talk a little Thursday night football, 49ers Rams tonight. If you have any thoughts, last call for phone, 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game.
Okay.
There we go. Way to finish it up, Parker. It's a good one to wrap up the show on.
Teddy.
Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, Chase and Big Joe coming up after us. Tomorrow, I'll be joined by Connor Newt for the full show, and also Max Hers is going to join us from 9 to 9:30 to preview the Predators season, which gets underway 1 week from today. You can listen to all Preds games right here on 102.5 The Game. The plan is moving forward to have Max every week. So if you're looking for some hockey talk, we will have that for you on Fridays every week. Looking forward to it. Couple minutes left in the show here, TD. Did want to mention this text. We were talking about Arthur Smith as a name that could get, knocked around if the Titans make a coaching change. Trevor mentions Jim Schwartz as another guy. I'm not as on board with that. I think you might want to go offensive-minded guy again. But in terms of a guy who, yes, familiar with what it takes to have success in this city and with this organization, Jim Schwartz, obviously a guy who's been here and done that before.
Jim Schwartz with Mike McDaniel as the OC.
There you go.
I think if you went that route of Jim Schwartz, you definitely have to have a legit established OC.
Yeah.
And quarterback coach, because you know what'll happen. You get to be the victim of your own success. You get a good offense.
You keep losing your play caller.
And
that's what the Titans had with LaFleur and with Smith, of just like, hey, we can't keep it consistent for Marcus Mariota or Ryan Tannehill or whoever was the quarterback at that point. Let's go back to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Wes from Hermitage has called in. Wes, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Guys, it's a beautiful Thursday. Jake, I'm the next man up again. I feel good about it.
You are the next man up.
I got a new nickname for Amy Adams Strunk today, and I got a couple questions for TD. TD, I know you know a lot about the Tennessee Titans. Am I correct in saying that your favorite team in the NFL is the Eagles?
If I had to pick a team, it would be the Eagles. I love AJ Brown, and Philly is hometown, so yeah. I don't really have a favorite, honestly, though.
Okay. Would you say that you know just as much about the Eagles organization as you do the Titans, or no?
Overall, I would say just as much, but being here and having the relationships, I would say more about the Titans as far as like the inner circle, inner working.
Well, with that being said, if Amy Always Stunk told you that she needed you to come be the GM and make the Titans the Eagles, and she told you that you had 2 years to come up with a winning record, what are the first 3 to 5 things that you would do? Now, if she said in those 2 years, if you have a winning record, she'll give you a $50 million bonus.
Ooh.
So it's serious. It's serious, man.
It's
what
serious.
What are the first 3 to 5 things that you're doing to make the Tennessee Titans the Philadelphia Eagles? Because they don't have a clue.
Yeah, the first thing I would do, honestly, is I would get myself a dominant wide receiver. That's the first. Well, no, let's keep it 100. First thing I'm doing is going out, and I say receiver first because it's really hard to do. But first thing I will work to do is go out and find myself a legit tackle, right?
That idea.
I will find that first, and then after that, I'm going for a dominant pass rusher. And then from there, I'm going for a receiver. I have to address the trenches and impact the trenches first.
So do you agree with any of the decisions that the Titans made this offseason to, quote-unquote, build this team up this year?
I think the Zeitler signing was good. I understand the Dan Moore Jr. one. I can't say I agree with it, but I also can't say, well, what else would you have done, right? Unfortunately, because of injuries, you're right back in the situation where you got one serviceable bookend of the bookends, but I can't say I agree with all of them.
I appreciate it, man. I was just curious because I think you kind of have a better idea of how to put a winning team together than what we got going on over there right now.
And listen, it's easy to sit here in this chair without the pressure,
right?
And make those decisions, say do this and do that. I don't envy the job that Chad Breaker and Mike Borgonzi have.
But you would take that pressure for that paycheck, though, right?
Diggity darn right. Let's
right.
do
Absolutely,
it.
guys.
Thanks for the call, Wes.
I love it.
That'll about wrap things up for us here on this Thursday, TD. As always, appreciate you coming in. We'll do it again next week.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate it, man. Great calls today from everybody.
Yes. Appreciate all the interaction on the text line, on the phone line. Tomorrow we'll have some Preds talk with Max Hers and get you ready for another big weekend of football. For Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, I'm Jake Lyman. Chasing Big Joe coming up next here on 102.5 The Game.